everybody's talking about boundaries right now. And they say things like, protect your energy, just say no. It's easy. Get those people out of your life, set the boundary, and stick to it. But if it were that simple, most people would be doing it. So if you find yourself needing to have a boundary, but just don't know where to start, this video is definitely for you. Because boundaries don't start with just saying no. They start with two things that most people skip: self-awareness and permission. But first, hey, I'm Janice, and I'm a boundaries coach, and I help women apply boundaries sustainably and practically to their own life. Welcome back to my channel. So, a lot of people think they struggle with boundaries because they're not assertive enough. They can't say no quick enough. They don't have the right language, or maybe body language as well. But what I find with working with my clients is that it's much deeper than that. It's not just the language, it's not just being assertive or being able to express themselves. It's way before that. It's knowing their limits. It's knowing what they can't take. It's knowing what doesn't feel right, or even how they communicate. They're not aware of that because, let's face it, society and the way we grew up doesn't teach us to be aware of ourselves, to be aware of our limits. So by the time the boundary is crossed or violated, people are already frustrated, they're exhausted, they're overwhelmed, and sometimes passive aggressive. So it comes out as a super assertive, it comes out as mean, it comes out as hard, it comes out as rigid. And then also, once they've done that boundary, once they've said or communicated that boundary in a way that's not them, people just expect that person to be that way all the time. And that's not true. So let's talk about the limits, i.e., self-awareness. Let's talk about what are the signals that things aren't right, things don't feel right, and that you may need a boundary. Self-awareness is what you notice in real time, how you feel in that moment, what's happening, what you're feeling, what you're needing, and when something just isn't sitting right. And for a better perspective, let's talk about how it shows up. Maybe your chest feels tight when someone asks you to do a favor. Maybe you feel a drop in your stomach when someone puts another task on your plate at work. Maybe you say yes automatically, even when part of you is tired. Or maybe you wake up every morning exhausted. Those feelings matter. Why? Because you can't set a boundary around something you're not even allowing yourself to notice. And when you ignore that self-awareness, you ignore your choice. You ignore the truth. You ignore your truth. Now let's talk about permission, because having self-awareness isn't enough. Permission is what allows you to take what you've noticed, that self-awareness, and do something about it. Be proactive about it. I've also worked with clients who have so much self-awareness, they realize that they're exhausted. They know that their calendar is crazy. They know they're tired. They know that they say yes more than no. They feel it in their bodies. But when it's time to act and they need to say, I can't do this, I don't have the capacity right now, they freeze. They just take it on. And it's not because they don't know what to say, but the permission to give themselves that permission to say those things, they clam up because they don't want to be seen as someone being difficult. They don't want to be seen as causing conflict. And then sometimes it's, well, if I don't do it, who else is going to do it? I'm the reliable one. I'm the capable one. People have told me that. I know that. So it becomes this vicious cycle of being exhausted, taking on too much, and being burnt out and doing it all over again. And over time, it turns into resentment, bitterness, being burnt out, of course. And the worst thing is to feel like you're trapped in that cycle. You're trapped in a life that you can't break free from. But permission is the moment you decide, hey, I matter. Hey, I'm tired of being frustrated. I'm tired of being exhausted. I'm not going to be exhausted anymore. I'm allowed to disappoint someone if I'm being honest with myself and my capacity. And I'm allowed to change my mind. Because without permission, self awareness turns into guilt and inaction. So, what happens when self awareness and permission come together to make a boundary? Something really interesting happens. Boundaries start to feel less dramatic and more obvious. So, instead of overthinking every conversation and replaying things in your head for hours, you just start to respond more simply, more calmly. You start to say things like, I won't be able to take that on this week. I actually need more time to think about that. That doesn't work for me right now. And let me pause by saying, if your boss is giving you more work, if your boss is saying, hey, I have to have this back by 5 p.m. today, you're probably not going to say, I can't do this right now. So there are some caveats. There are some caveats to certain situations, and it's understandable. And I'm in no way saying this is a script that you have to use. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that the things that are making you so exhausted, the things that are causing you stress, the point is that I don't want you to feel that this is a straight message, that this can be applied to anybody in any situation, because it can't. That's why boundaries are personal. There's not a one size fit all to people's individual boundary making. What is important is to realize what your life is, your responsibilities. Out of those responsibilities, are there things that you can delegate, that you can take off your plate, and how you can respond to those things? We all have different lives, we all have different responsibilities. Some of us have kids, some of us don't. Some of us have pets, some of us don't. Some of us work for really cool bosses, and some of us work for super nasty bosses. Or some people work for themselves. Whatever it is, you have to find out what your life is, what's causing you that stress, and you have to figure out how you can apply the boundary appropriately to that. Because what we want is boundaries to not feel so scary and start feeling like you are being consistent with yourself, that you are putting yourself first, and that you matter, because you do. And that's what allows boundaries to hold, to stick. And that's the biggest part of what I do when I work with my clients. Allowing them to listen to their awareness, listen to their truth, and helping them apply their permission. It's not easy, because it's not about scripts. It's not about just saying no, like I said before. It's not about getting your backbone straight and being assertive and coming into a room and standing 10 toes down. It's not just about that. First, it starts with, do you know your limits? Do you know what you like, what you don't like? Do you listen to that feeling that happens when X, Y, and Z happens? Are you just ignoring it and wanting to hurry up and get to the permission? Or do you want to hurry up and get to the boundary because you feel that that's the problem when it's not? I always say this, and I cannot stress this enough. Boundaries are not about anybody else. They're about you. Because when we start to make things about other people, we rely on them to act a certain way. We rely on them to not act a certain way, to say the things that we want them to say and how we want them to say it. So when none of that happens, because we cannot control anyone else, we get angry. That's when the frustration starts. That's when the anger starts. That's when the burnout starts. So if you made it to the end of this video, thank you. And I hope this brought some clarity to what boundary and boundary making is all about. And if you want to work with me and explore more ways and how you can get to the point of self-awareness and permission and boundaries, go down to the link in my description box and you'll find out more ways to work with me. Whether you choose to work with me or not, I want you to start noticing how you feel, how you're showing up when things that kind of stress you out make you feel. I want you to start listening to your body and start giving yourself a little more permission than you used to and see what changes from there. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.